Hey guys, Stevie McCrae. I want to share a story with you. Way back in June of 1984, I made my first deer poaching case as a young game warden back in South Dakota. So here's what happened. It was in the evening, probably mid-June, and I'm out checking fishermen along the Big Sioux River. And I got a call from the sheriff's office over the radio that somebody had called in to report a deer poaching. So I went up to the location, and it was right there was a trailer behind what it was called Lone Tree Bar, Highway 34 that goes east and west through Moody County. So I meet with the caller, and the deer was still alive. It had been gut shot 4 times with a .22 caliber rifle. So I had to finish it off, and then of course it was seized as evidence. Well, the person who called it in, he's telling me the story that he was at his he was washing dishes in the kitchen, and there's a window right there, and he was able to look right out the window, and this pickup of a certain description, the driver stopped on the gravel road facing north, and they shot the deer from the vehicle, from the road, and then took off to the north. So as I'm interviewing him, not as a suspect, but as the RP, I'm realizing, well, there's something about this guy and about his story. It sounds rehearsed. So I collected the deer and his statement. I got a written statement. And then I went back up to the Moody County Sheriff's Office, and I was talking to the dispatcher and one of the deputies. Remember, I was fairly new to the area. I didn't know all these names. And when I told them who it was, they said, oh, he shot it. He shot it. So now what do you do? This is the guy who called it in. I don't have any evidence that he actually killed the deer. I only have the deputy and the dispatcher saying that he's capable of doing it. And I'm thinking, why would he have called the sheriff's office? Because if he poached it, but then called the sheriff's office to report the poaching, he made a false report. And that was a class 1 misdemeanor. That was probably more serious than actually killing the deer, which would also was a class 1 or high grade misdemeanor. So I go back down there just a couple days later, and I tell him, I knock and talk, and I get him in my truck, and I told him, you're not under arrest, you're free to leave at any time, and when you do that, and you mean it, that you don't have to read Miranda warnings, because they're not under arrest, and they are free to go. They're not in custody. So I told him, you're not under arrest, you're free to go anytime. I just want to ask some clarification questions and whatever. And well, here's what I did. I got his story again, and I'm listening, and I said, well, then I went back and I said, you said this, and I said, the problem with that is, and maybe you can help clear it up, but there were 2 people on the other side of the Lone Tree Bar, and they were out there doing what boys and girls do, and they heard the shots, and they knew it came from behind the bar, the area where your trailer is. Now, you said that there was a pickup on the road, and they were facing north, they shot west out the driver's window, and got shot the deer 4 times, but they said when they heard the shots, they walked around the corner. There was no vehicle anywhere in sight. So, and then I said, Scott, you have a .22 caliber rifle, right? He's like, yeah. I said, can you give me a reason why, if I were to seize your rifle and compare it to the bullets that I recovered from the deer during a field autopsy, that the ballistics would indicate that they matched, that those bullets were fired from your gun? Can you give me a reason why? And now he's starting to sweat, and he's stumbling, and I said, well, and then I told him that, and this one, I said, you said once again about that pickup stopping. Well, you got the couple there on the far side of the bar who you couldn't see, who knew that there was no pickup on the road. And I also talked to the farm family up to the north. It's about a half mile. And between where the deer was shot and where that farm is, there's no roads. There's no gravel roads. There's no T's. There's no intersections. You have to go past the farm. before you get to the next intersection. I actually went up and talked to those folks, talk about field interviews and whatever. And I asked them on this particular day, and they said, you know, we remember hearing those shots. I said, really? And I said, how did that happen? Well, we were having a family reunion. We were all out on the lawn by the farmhouse, and we started actually walking down to the road to take a look to the south. And I said, did you see anything? Was there any vehicles that went by? And they said, no, there's no vehicles. I mean, we were looking for that, and we wondered, okay, maybe they're just target shooting, and they went back to business. So what do I have? I've got two people on the other side of the bar that Scott can't see from his trailer. I got this phantom pickup on the road. I've got him to admit that he's got a .22 caliber rifle, and that there might be a reason why the ballistics of the bullets that I recovered from the deer might match the ballistics of his .22 rifle, indicating he fired them. The only thing that was true was about the farm family. That couple on the far side of the Lone Tree Bar, phantom, they didn't exist. I didn't recover any bullets from the deer because they were completely demolished. They were hitting bone, whatever. There was no way there was going to be any kind of ballistic trace. But he confessed. I lied to him. And I got a confession. That's how you lie in law enforcement. That's how I lied. Because you can do that. The Supreme Court's ruled that you can lie to a suspect. As long as the interrogator or interviewer does not say or do anything that would convince or force an otherwise innocent person to confess. An example would be, why don't you just tell me you did this and there won't be any problems, no charges, we'll just call it good, and somebody confesses. Or there was a New York City detective many decades ago, he interviewed a subject. Actually, I guess it was an interrogation. The guy's like, I ain't telling you nothing. So the detective takes his head and he dunks it into a bucket of ammonia. That's coercion. I hadn't done any of that. I just referred to phantom evidence and led him down that path till he realized that maybe, okay, he had to confess because I was finding all these holes in this story. Now, he ended up pleading not guilty, and we went to a preliminary hearing. And it came up when I was testifying on cross with the defense attorney that, did you find bullets? No. Was there a couple? No. Was there this? No. So you lied. And I said, yes, sir. So you lied to my client to solicit a confession. I said, yes, sir. Okay, so it got bound over, and he pled guilty to the closed season deer charge, and I never charged him with the false report. Should have, in hindsight, but I didn't. You know, I've been on a year, and here's June of '84, and it's like, oh, what do I do? And, well, it worked out, but I lied to him. I referred to evidence and witnesses that didn't exist. Those are things that would have never caused an innocent person to confess. They'd have said, I don't care what they said. Well, who are you talking about? They would have become very defensive, argumentative. So let's get into just some of the quick tricks of the trade in regards to interviews and interrogations. I've already told you how cops will lie especially during an interrogation, by referring to phantom evidence. And they can do that. And it works. Like it or not, they can do that. And I did a lot. So interviews and interrogations, criminal interviews and criminal interrogations. The two methods that I was trained in, the first one was called the Reid method. R-E-I-D, the Reid method. Let me get another marker. These things, see if this one works. The Reid method, and here in a nutshell, is how the Reed method of interviews and interrogations works. If you have money going from, this is just an example. This is an accurate example, but just an example. If you have money that's going missing from a cash register, and the owner suspects that one of the workers took it, they don't have there's no surveillance, anything, and they don't know exactly the time frame, but you have a half a dozen employees who are suspects, credible suspects. Any of them could have taken that money because they don't know what time it happened. So whoever's working that specific shifts that where it was discovered, they're suspects. Well, how do you start weeding them out? If you have a half a dozen people, employees, and one of them you're very confident is the thief who stole the money out of the cash register. Now, in the Reed method of interview and interrogations, the first thing you do is you conduct interviews. That's all it is. It's non-custodial, no Miranda warnings, nothing like that. And you let them know you're not under arrest, free to go. We just wanted to ask a few questions just to make sure that we can eliminate you and others from this particular investigation, this crime. So there are 15 in the Reed method. There are 15 scripted questions. They're very non-confrontational, they're non-accusatory, but the guilty person will answer the questions a certain way, as opposed to the people who didn't steal the cash from the cash register. This is all psychology again, and I want to share it with you. I like doing this because if cops want to keep being a bunch of unprofessional jerks, I'm going to expose the tricks of the trade to all those rotten cops, the unprofessional, mean jerks. You're welcome. So there are 15 scripted questions. I'm not going to get into all 15. I'm going to pick the 2 most important ones, and you'll see where this is going. Non-custodial, they may have done it, but we're not sure. 6 suspects, we're not sure. One of the most important questions is, and I covered this in a previous video, one of the 15 questions is, can you give me a reason why? Can you give me a reason why somebody would have told us that they saw you near the cash register about the time the money went missing? Can you give me a reason why somebody would have told? Nobody told them anything. This is the lying part. But you're not doing anything that would make an innocent person confess, or no. Well, the guilty party is what? They're going to go, oh no, somebody saw me, so now I've got to come up with some reason why I was close or in the vicinity of the cash register because somebody saw me. So they're going to, the innocent people are going to say, no. Why would anybody accuse me of that? I wasn't anywhere near it. But the person who took the money, their answer is going to be, well, very wishy-washy. I could have been. I mean, that's part of my job, but I could have been. You just got tricked. And here's the other question out of the 15, the second one that I'm going to highlight. The interviewer asked the 6. Remember, these are questions all 6 are asked. One of the other of the 15 is, what do you think should happen to the person who, you don't say stole the money, you say who took the money? What do you think should happen to someone like that? Well, the guilty party's going to go, well, there might have been a reason, and maybe they have bills to pay or they're in debt, or I think they should be given a second chance. I don't think they should go to jail or anything, but there might have been a reason why they did it. There's the person. You've just identified your suspect. You can actually do it in 2 questions. Okay, I hope you're with me. Because they answered in a way that only a guilty person would answer. The innocent people are going to go, what should happen? Well, they ought to have the book thrown at them. That's crap. There's all this trust that goes back and forth with the folks who work here. When they start taking money like that, whoever it is, they're taking our paychecks. They're affecting our livelihood. No, throw them in the caboose. You see the difference? So now, because of that one person who answered those 15 questions in a way that only the guilty party would answer, now the second part of read is, okay, we've identified that individual. Now what they do is, now they're going to go in later to the interrogation where they've identified the suspect, and they're going to start bringing the heat.